On a windswept Irish cliff, bathed in golden hour light, a solitary telegraph mast stood sentinel against the Atlantic horizon, an unlikely monument to modernity. Into this rugged landscape stepped Guglielmo Marconi, drawn not only by the island's natural suitability for wireless experiments, but by the quiet power of family ties. His mother's Jemison lineage opened doors in Dublin's elite circles, blending scientific ambition with social access. Ireland, often peripheral in imperial affairs, became a proving ground for global communications. Marconi's arrival marked more than a technical venture. It signalled the beginning of Ireland's transformation from remote outpost to wireless pioneer. Guglielmo Marconi's whispers across the Atlantic began as experiments and became threads woven into Ireland's modern story. The inventor's familial tie to the Jemisons opened doors. The masts rose out of windswept headlands, and technical expertise moved from telegraphy into domestic airwaves. This documentary traces how social networks, material infrastructure, and cultural ambition combined to turn private wireless projects into a public medium. From coastal transmitter compounds to Dublin drawing rooms, the story reveals layered causation. The Jemison name did not build studios, but it helped create the conditions that made a state broadcaster plausible. The narrative that follows maps those conditions and consequences. Guglielmo Marconi arrived in Ireland often, drawn by family ties and by the island's rugged coasts, which suited long-distance wireless experiments. His mother, Annie Jemison, connected him to the prominent Dublin distilling family, giving Marconi a personal and social foothold in Ireland. That connection opened doors among Irish businesses, scientific and political circles, easing introductions and local cooperation. Marconi's presence brought cutting-edge technology to places that otherwise lay on the administrative margins of empire, and his experiments and stations established practical practices and physical locations from which later mass broadcasting would grow. In the first decades of the 20th century, Marconi established major wireless installations along the Irish coasts. Sites such as Malin Head and a transatlantic station at Clifden became nodes in a growing global network, handling telegrams, ship-to-shore signals, and experimental voice transmissions. Those stations introduced communities to the practical power of wireless. Local people learned maintenance, clerical routines, and transmitter operation, creating enduring technical cultures. The hardware, trained hands, and demonstrated long-distance credibility helped normalize radio, building a public expectation that wireless could connect Ireland to Europe and the Americas. The Jameson family were prominent Dublin distillers and civic actors who shaped public life through business, philanthropy, and public office.
So as the amplitude of the waves increases, the signal fidelity is improved.
Fascinating. And the practical implications for that?
This device represents the dawn of a new era.
Indeed, the possibilities are limitless.
Their social networks intersected with scientific visitors like Marconi and provided easier access to landowners, municipal authorities, and financial backers needed to site and operate large installations. The Jameson name carried social currency across Irish elites.
Thank you for having us.
The key here is the oscillation frequency.
The future of communication is upon us.
Indeed, a new era of connectivity.
Such influence smoothed negotiations for leases, permissions, and local goodwill. While the family did not run wireless stations directly, their social standing facilitated the reception of foreign technical projects, allowing Marconi's enterprises to anchor themselves within Irish society. Marconi's choice of sites thus reflected both engineering needs and social opportunity, anchoring communications infrastructure in Ireland's geography. These installations created tangible proof that radio could connect the island to wider networks, encouraging local acceptance and eventual adaptation for civilian broadcasting use.
We're making excellent progress here.
Indeed, this station will transform communication.
The local support has been invaluable.
Operational experience at Marconi stations generated valuable human capital for later broadcasting. Technicians trained in telegraphy and wireless telephony adapted to scheduled transmissions, message handling, and early audio experiments. Procedural habits, timetables, maintenance routines, logbooks migrated into broadcast operations. When commercial and public broadcasters emerged, they could draw on a pool of skilled workers, tested physical sites, and established technical protocols that had been refined under Marconi's enterprises. In practical terms, Marconi's Irish footprint created both material infrastructure and experienced personnel that lowered the threshold for launching systematic radio services at scale. Cultural acceptance of radio began in nautical and military contexts and spread into civilian life as demonstrations and experiments showcased voice and music transmission. Rural communities near transmitter sites and urban audiences attending demonstrations experienced radio's social potential. Members of the Jameson social circle attending events and blending respectability accelerated public thrust in the medium. Public lectures and staged demonstrations in Dublin and provincial towns made radio visible and persuasive, turning it from technical curiosity into a socially useful instrument, thereby making the later proposition of regular broadcasting less speculative and more socially plausible. Ireland's political upheavals in the early 20th century reshaped institutional priorities and made communications a national concern. The struggle for independence, the creation of the Free State and subsequent institution building meant that communication systems were viewed as assets for governance and nationhood. Existing wireless networks that Marconi had helped install became attractive resources for the new state seeking to disseminate information, project authority, and foster cohesion. Thus, the political context made it easier for radio to be conceptualized not only as a commercial technology, but as a public instrument of stagecraft and cultural consolidation. From coastal masts to city salons, Marconi's Irish chapter fused innovation with social infrastructure. The Jameson family's influence, local labour and political shifts created fertile ground for wireless technology to take root. What began as experimental transmissions evolved into operational expertise and cultural acceptance, laying the groundwork for Ireland's broadcasting future. As the Free State emerged, Marconi's installations became more than technical assets. They became instruments of national cohesion. Ireland's embrace of radio was not merely technological, it was social, political, and deeply human. In the echoes of those early signals lies the story of a nation tuning into its modern voice.